Oh, it does. Okay, it says this meeting is being recorded. Cool.
Mary Ellen, can you call out who's online?
Yeah, but I mean, from what they signed in as, participants are Kate, and I, and Gypsy, Joyce, Phyllis, 821, I don't know who that is, Cheryl's iPhone, Jesse's iPhone, Joan's iPhone. So no, not really. And Linda.
Thank you.
So changes to the agenda. I'm just putting on here the opening of the town hall and the library. Does anybody else have anything? Okay. Public comments. If we're gonna hit the neighborhood watch thing during public comments, I'm gonna take it off of the agenda further down. I wasn't really expecting a bunch of people to be here. So just, I guess, for another change to the agenda. So public comments, I guess we all know what the big one is. So if someone would like to start, yeah. So
What?
Didn't hear. Can you hear Mary Ellen? Can you hear Jeff?
No,
Now
I can hear you.
All right, try it again, Jeff. See if she
All
can
right.
hear you.
So
I heard the first part.
we're in public.
Phyllis, you can't mute yourself.
I think we're listening through you, Mom. And
Sure.
you're muted.
Night watch, or whatever we want to call it. I think that we should be doing this separate from the town due to liability issues, and it's just another thing. We need to have someone else handling it because it's going to be, there's going to be organizational situations and dealing with potential crises and everything. So what I would like to do is, if people want to say a little something about it, that's fine. But I think there should be a meeting with those interested for another night where we decide someone who wants to take the lead and be the manager, so to speak, the front man, and to organize meetings and to maybe organize who would be taking part in the watches. But after that, I guess we can just start and let Stephen go around.
So I'd like to see if there's any other options aside from that. I think that's a good idea. I do think that's a good idea for somebody to meet,
Right.
fix. I know constable is a lot of money. But is that an option that we can look at, see if that's something the town will be interested in? Because at this point, we have to come up with a solution. It's becoming a nightly issue.
Well, I think that, my impression from what people have said is maybe if we didn't need 2 principals for 100 kids and our taxes weren't going up on that end, that maybe people would be more interested in spending the money on a constable.
What about addressing with the sheriff's office to say, okay, instead of patrolling the 4 hours or whatever they have a week, what if we'd be called? We could rely on them. Because at this point, most people in town know that when you call the sheriff's office, they're going to tell you to call the state police. And the sheriff's in town right here.
So this is something that has been discussed since before most of us have been
around
involved.
Yeah.
So I've said something to Bill Vonyak. He's like, for us to do anything different, we need more money. And that basically every time he says anything, we need more money. We're going to be going over all of the records. I know that they've charged us for things that have happened in other towns. I know that there's a lot of charges that are going towards driving to their meet their contractual obligations in other towns. So we got a lot of speed patrol on the Williamstown Road and the East Randolph Road.
But is that what we're getting right now?
That's what we're getting. And occasionally we'll get the radar station that they set up, and sometimes you see them. I do know there are a couple charges, like 7 hours of patrolling the roads on West Hill on a Sunday. From what I gather and what I've seen, they like to go for the easy calls. So they'll do speed patrol on Sunday. They come downtown after the situation's resolved. That guy, whatever that crackhead was that was trying to break into Will's and was attacking people, trying to attack people, they didn't come until after that. The state police acknowledged on the radio that the guy had left, and they zoomed right down after he left because they, for whatever reason, they wanted to be there now at that point. So I know other towns have gotten rid of their contracts because they have spent the money and they haven't gotten the services that they're paying for.
That's kind of how I'm feeling right now, is that we're paying for this in our taxes, and
I don't think we are. I think we really need to understand there's county services that every town has to pay an allotment towards. So
But that's
Williamstown
different than what we're paying under the contract.
$70,000 a year for patrolling. So, I mean, I think there's two different issues here. I think everyone on this call anyway probably agrees we need more policing. And I think there's some options, but it's not in the budget for this year. So, I mean, I would recommend having a future agenda item to go over the options, which I see as contracting with the sheriff's department or contracting with another law enforcement agency that's nearby or a constable. I mean, Thetford patrols West Fairleigh as a subcontract.
That was something I was thinking about too, Mary
It's a
Ellen.
lot more per hour, I can tell you that. It's a lot more money than, but I think it's a different level of service. But it's a lot more hourly rates, more like $75 an hour, not, what was it, 48 or something. So, I mean, I think we have options, but I think it really, I mean, it's a big ticket item. So unless we have money in the budget, a lot of fluff in the budget, I think we really got to start the discussions with the community as to what we're going to do for the upcoming budget season. Because I think it is a big ticket item. I think it's important, but I think it's a big enough ticket item where it needs to be a standalone agenda item, and we need to get public's input on what level of service they want to pay for. I mean, I worked for Thetford for 8 years. They have almost $400,000 a year police department. And every year this comes up on, how much patrol do people want? So, I mean, I think that the three options are, contracting with the sheriff's department. Williamstown pays $70,000 a year for a little bit of extra patrol. So, I mean, we have to pay them extra if we want their patrol services. That's not in that county-wide contract that we all pay a part of. I don't understand yet exactly what's in that county contract, but I think we're talking about different things here.
Yeah, I think that is one thing. There's going to be what we do moving forward for next town meeting when we can change the budget. And then there's what we're going to do right now. So Mary Ellen has requested documentation of the contract with Williamstown.
Just to get an idea.
To get an idea, but also we need to see, it seems to me to be a little bit ridiculous that a government organization, even though it's quasi-governmental, is able to have all of the bargaining power and all of the power in this relationship, and we don't have any redress. So there's got to be something where we can say they're not doing their job and they're ripping us off. We don't see them doing anything. When we call them, like I've even said, we would be fine if you did not patrol and you just came if someone called because someone's trying to break their door down. Or if the Orange County Parent-Child Center has a lockdown and they're worried about some guy coming to attack them, that they don't sit and eat sausages at the Tunbridge Fair. They can drive the 4 miles up the road and just sit in the parking lot for an hour. But they couldn't be bothered. They didn't say, the situation's resolved. This is what we did. They said, we are busy at the Tunbridge Fair. And it was the day before the fair started. So there's issues with what we're getting. I know we need to pay more to get more, but I don't think we're getting anything for what we're paying for.
We're not paying anything.
Well, we have to pay to maintain the buildings and all those things. That's part of what
a week, or
is that what it is?
It's 4 hours a week. I mean, you hold on to them and respond when someone's freaking out at Will's and they have to lock the door.
Okay, I don't mean to be rude, but could people please talk one at a time and identify yourself?
Is that Linda Coogan?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe just call on people individually.
All right, so Frank.
First of all, comment, Several times I've called
Who is this?
for a visit.
Frank.
Frank P.
Thank you.
Nobody here. Nobody here. Get right in the car, drive right up there, and there's a deputy there.
Yeah.
Now, that's the dispatcher's fault. The comment I have is, instead of having deputies on both ends of the village trying to pick up somebody for 5 miles over the speed limit, going to work or coming home, wait till dark. Don't sit out here at 5:30 in the afternoon, wait till dark. Put their deputy car in place and wait till dark. You might find some action. You're not gonna find any action at 3:30 in the afternoon. It isn't gonna happen. It happens in the night. It happens in the middle of the night. God forbid if they had to stay up one night, sitting in the car. You know, I mean, there's ways of doing it. Just, do you people have control of where the money is spent?
We don't.
Well, then.
That's-
we need to take control.
And that's one of the things that I think we need to look into is how do we have some sort of power in this relationship rather than them just continuing telling us, well, this is how we do it. And, you know, that's it.
I'm so frustrated with the department. When I need a VIN check, I go to Barry. I don't even waste my time.
Well, they charged us for a VIN check up in Berkshire at Allen's Auto.
It's free.
They charged us for the time.
It's free.
Mhm.
Part of the job.
Yeah, so,
I go to Barry, they welcome me in and they do their job and they thank you for coming in.
Do we have any control over what times of the day? Like, I know that we have a set amount of money, but can we say to them, we don't want you patrolling on Sunday afternoon on West Hill? And then we don't have you on a Thursday, Friday night
it's been said.
patrolling at night? Because, I mean, people are reporting that their neighbors' houses are being broken into. It's happening all around us as well. And, I mean, you posted that somebody
Yeah,
was
I
trying
mean,
to,
I caught someone red-handed and called the state police, but they never came.
and that's the thing, 4 years ago, we called the sheriff because somebody had come into our house. She was from our community, but she was on drugs and she was smashing and crashing around our house with our kids and drove across our lawn. We called the sheriff, they told us to call the state police. Here we have the crazy person in our house. State police we call them, 3.5 hours later, they finally came. After the person had been taken to the hospital for drug overdose. I mean, nobody's responding. 4 state police cars were in Chelsea today for an emergency on 113. And a person posted on our community website this afternoon that those 4 state police were behind her when a car went faster than the speed limit right through Tunbridge to pass her to go around her. And she was going the speed limit and they never even flipped their light. I mean, we're not getting anything from anybody at this point.
I mean, the overarching thing that we need to remember is the overarching problem in Vermont is money and how and where it's being spent and how it's being spent. And, you know, maybe we need to be more of a squeaky wheel than we have been, you know, like in the style of Stowe, where they'll have a lawyer write a letter rather than the select board say something. So.
I just want to make a comment about the contract. So a few years ago, when I came here, I suggested that we could possibly audit the sheriff's office, and feedback I got was, well, we can't really do that. But what I'm thinking is, if we were to write a contract with these internal controls, so these controls saying, you're going to do West Hill this period, you're going to do this side of town that time, it's conceivable that they might or might not sign it. But if we have those controls dictated in the contract, then we could say, here's what we're holding you accountable for, here's what we're willing to pay, and it's possible that we could do something like that. So that I think it's something we can explore, so that there's specific metrics that we can hold them accountable for, and they would have clear expectations or clear understanding to what the town is expecting from, of their services. So that I think.
With them. Are we actually required to put that in our budget? I mean, if we said as a community, okay, so we're not getting anything from the sheriff's department, so why are we paying for this? Are we able to say enough is enough?
Who is talking right now?
Kena Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah, we aren't required. I think Washington doesn't have a contract.
Berkshire
Berkshire doesn't have a contract.
I don't think Orange has a contract either. Orange might. I know Berkshire doesn't.
Orange is talking about getting rid of their contract.
Okay.
And they were going to eat. That was,
So-
I think this year, maybe they don't.
So
or next year maybe.
we've talked with some of the towns last year and before about, their level of service and satisfaction service. And it was, some of the towns that, they rely on VSP now, but it's it's very similar service level as Orange County, which is non-existent for
Right,
many
but if we're
towns.
not gonna pay for anything, if we're paying for something we're not getting anyway, then why are we paying for it and watching our tax dollars go to nothing at that point? And I'm not saying that they've never helped anybody, I'm just saying that we're not getting what we need as a community, and we're paying and we can't get anything else unless we wanna pay them this much more.
Hello, this is Joan Goodrich, and maybe I can give you a little historical information on this. When I was on the select board, we did audit and we had money returned and hours fixed. So you can do that and you can get proof. You should be able to look at money that you get from when they give tickets. Because we used to get money back from the ticket bureau. But you can contract for whatever you want. If you want a high level of service, you are also going to pay a high level of money for those services. You can also contract with Vermont State Police, which is definitely higher than the sheriff's office. But what I'm hearing for the kind of service people are asking for is when I make a phone call, I want somebody there, then you are going to need to really look at having a town constable that is trained, and you are going to be, or establishing a police department, and you are going to be adding 30 to 40% to your town budget. So it's what you are interested in getting for services and what you are willing to pay for those services. The sheriff's department, by law, is not obligated unless there's a contract. The sheriff's office itself. But the sheriff's organization is what puts the contracts out there and who you contract with. It gets kind of complicated. There are two entities. One is the state level sheriff's department that we all pay our taxes for. And the other one is the contracted services. So they're two different things. And it's the sheriff's organization that you contract with, and they're the ones that buy all the cars and do the insurance. The only car that is purchased is the sheriff's, is the only one that is through the state. So there's a lot of things that goes with it when you look at those contracts. And we had talked before about increasing the contracts and people didn't want to pay the price. So, it's going to take a hard look at it, a hard look at the budgets and decide what do we really want and what are we willing to pay for? And, that is the bottom line.
And I think that's a separate public meeting to address it. I mean, doesn't solve our short-term problem, but I think for long-term, that's a community discussion.
Yeah,
We've done it for some time. I mean, we some of us talk with the state law enforcement, the training folks, and just ballpark, it'll be a couple $100,000 to get, just a constable, with the, if we're going to have a vehicle, and it'll be to what extent can the select board supervise the constable? That's a question as well, and liability and insurance costs, et cetera. So it's, I'm not opposed to exploring any of that, but as Joan said and others have said, it's a lot. But it's I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
How do they figure 200,000 for a constable?
Yeah, so what I was asking about was, you've got to have someone, if they're already trained through the law enforcement academy, that's going to be a lot cheaper. So you'd have to send someone to the academy, you got to pay the salaries, you have to have the infrastructure here set up, and the vehicle, the insurance policies, et cetera, liability insurance. And those things cost a lot of money. And that's,
But there's retired sheriffs out there, like Groton hired that retired sheriff to be their constable. The speeding rate on 302 has dropped in half.
I've been
And they're
asking.
getting the money from it.
I've been asking people if they've been willing to do it, and no one's given me or any of us feedback that said they would.
For the short term, the immediate term, would it be worthwhile for us to have Bill come to either regularly scheduled or a special meeting and hear the concerns directly from the town and answer to us why he cannot reach our like the town would like?
well, he did. We had
I
those
remember
meetings.
that, yeah.
The thing that I
Emily
remember.
Newman used to do
Yeah,
and
there were
Emily
multiple.
Newman and Linda Cooven did intelligence-based policing, and there's Emily right there. They did the intelligence-based policing, the meetings over and over and over and over again at the school. And sometimes Orange County showed up and sometimes it didn't. But this has been a discussion that's been going on for years.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to think of the how to address this immediate problem. It seems like we really have to buckle down and come to an answer about what we're doing for policing in Vermont, in Chelsea, but.
Well, I think in the immediate, I mean, they told us, you pay us more or we're going to stick to what we're doing. One of the things I remember from the meeting I went to was that Bill said, if you do shoot someone, make sure that he ends up in your house before the cops get there, and don't talk to the cops until you get a lawyer. That was the most poignant thing that I heard while I was at the meetings. Now, there might have been other meetings that went a little better than that, but that.
So you don't think they'd be?
We've tried it. I've talked to them multiple times, and they're just like, well, it costs too much money to do this and do that, but they never actually answer the actual, instead of, speed patrol when it doesn't really matter, why don't you just respond if there's an emergency? I mean, even your presence, even if you don't make an arrest, your presence will prevent things from escalating, and probably people will leave the situation. And, I mean, just the other night, I came down and some guy was parked in Wayland's parking lot. I got a message. I went down, I just drove up. The guy said a couple, things, told some stupid story, and he left because people knew he was there. And that's all we need the police to do. But they don't want to. They want to do speed patrol. They want to do the easy, low hanging fruit.
People pass each other, right, going past your house. People have passed me right there, and my kid's driving.
That's
the reason. Yeah.
Speed control.
Yeah. So in the interest of time management, I think that we should organize another meeting, and I would like, regarding just if we want to do a neighborhood watch and something to take care of the immediate need to at least have someone around to drive up on people and say, hey, what's going on in the middle of the night? Why are you hanging out at Wayland's? And they leave, and things like that. That will take care of the immediate situation. I found Jeremy and I were coming down here every time people were coming down and selling drugs and stuff. I mean, I've seen a couple guys doing their thing again, but I mean, there was a while that I didn't see anyone down And all we did is we went up, we took a picture of their face, took a picture of their license plate and said, if anything happens, we're calling the police and we got your information. And then walk away. And usually they take
What
off.
happens if that guy pulls a gun on you?
Right.
Well, then it's either he's got a problem or I've got a problem.
You got a big problem.
You know, one of us has a problem.
That's why it's getting out of hand.
But that,
Vermont State Police have got 6 troopers working, covering from Rochester all. It's
Yeah.
too much for them. We gotta do something here, get them to work.
Well, I think that, you know, that's why I'm saying at this point, we need to consider it 2 issues. And what I'd like to do is maybe Steve would organize getting people together to talk about a neighborhood watch thing so that we can kind of put that to the side and know that it's going to be happening. And then we're gathering information and working on auditing and seeing what we can do for the long term. And other than that, at this point, there's not really anything we can do because there's no money budgeted to do it. So we're not gonna be able to pull the money out to go and say, here's $100,000, do your job.
So Jeff, I'm almost thinking the neighborhood watch is already, I know it is for me.
Well, I think it
I
is.
lock my door, I look out the window, when I see suspicious vehicles, I pay attention. I think it's more than you think.
Right, but I think we need to have it a little bit more centralized and have like a phone tree email.
You got a question back there. You got several questions.
I can't see over the book, sorry.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I guess my question is, a neighborhood watch is important, and I think our community could potentially benefit from it. But having been in a situation as recently as a week and a half ago, where I witnessed in a stolen 4-wheeler going down the main road, and not knowing that I had the support of our local police department to report that, that is not going to be beneficial to the town at all. If community members do not feel like they have the support of their police department, how is a neighborhood watch going to be effective?
Well, I think that, again, we need to look at the budget and how we can move forward getting what we want from police. The neighborhood watch works because unless people are really willing to just say, I don't care if you've seen my face and I don't care if you know what I'm doing, they're generally going to walk away if you go up and you say, hey, how's it going? What are you doing? You know, those are our options right now. We can't go Yosemite Sam shooting up people and when they're stealing ATVs, because all that's going to end up happening is the people that are protecting their property are going to go to jail, and the junkies are going to just continue being junkies. And those are the options that we have in front of us.
So I have a question. So
I guess I have something. I think one of the things that we need to take into consideration is kind of what we see isn't always what really is. An example, I do know that the 2 police cruisers, state police cruisers in town, going down through Tunbridge, they had a gentleman in custody. They are not going to pull over a speeder if they have got someone who was just assaulted someone with a gun in custody. So the point we need to start knowing is that we don't know what's really going on. I had an officer tell me that he, in the last 60 days, he has arrested a gentleman for possession of heroin and cocaine. And he has appeared before a judge 30 times. And the judge this last time said, I mean it. If you come back again, I'm going to send you to jail. But at this point, they have not. Our problem isn't just with whether or not we've got police here, because we have elected officials in Montpelier that have made laws that make being a criminal just a revolving door in the courts. And we have judges who are more concerned about being counselors than being judges. And I think that unless we start addressing that issue, we're going to stay where we are.
Is that Linda? Who's talking?
Yeah. Yes.
Linda, what about that intelligence-based policing or whatever that group was that was meeting like a couple years ago?
Yeah.
What, weren't you involved in that?
The last 5 meetings we had, I think there was 2 of us there.
Yeah, because what was the purpose of that group? Is that something that's
The
sort of
idea-
neighborhood watchy?
Yeah, the idea of this group is the police keep us informed and we keep them informed.
Right. So maybe we
And-
could resurrect that.
But what is happening is I'm hearing people talk all the time about, I saw this and that, and this was going on and that was going on. Did you call the cops? Well, no, because they're not going to do anything about it. Well, then you're a part of the problem.
Right. See something, say something.
Yeah.
One thing that would slow the cops, the cars down here is if that cop at the courthouse parked his truck and walked to the courthouse. An empty cruiser has proved to slow people down.
Yeah. So, I kind of want to get things moving a little bit because we're at 8 o'clock. Steve is going to contact people. Contact Steve if you have interest in the neighborhood watch, and what we can do immediately to actually have some positive impact on the situation.
Who is that?
It's,
Steve Thomas?
Steve Thomas.
Thank you.
And as far as the budget is concerned, we're gathering information. The process is underway, and we're going to have something ready so that we have options when town meeting comes. But like right now, we can't answer any questions because we've already exhausted all the information we have.
But I just thank Dixon Corbett, our state's attorney, for being here. He might be able to shed some light on this if he's willing.
Thanks, Frank. I came because I knew Jennifer was going to be here. I came because I knew Eli was going to be here. I came because I knew Steve and Kate was going to be here. I wanted to hear what they had to say. I don't know what more I can say. I don't think there's anything I can say that's going to make pain better. I don't think there's anything I can say that's going to make it not hurt. I don't think there's anything that I can say except to listen about what does it feel like to be broken into? What does it feel like to have your home burglarized? What does it feel like to have people out in the street in front of your house yelling at you? What does it feel like to be in the middle of the night at the neighboring? There have been arrests. Scott Irish was arrested today. Amanda Conant was arrested on Saturday. Kevin Bent was arrested a week ago Friday. Kevin Bent is in jail. Amanda Conant was released today by the judge. I asked for her to be held on bail. The judge released her. I asked for Scott Irish to be held on bail, and the judge released him.
Why would someone release her? I mean, she's been terrorizing these towns. Is that not by the judge? It blows my mind.
I made all the arguments that I could. I provided the judge with all the information that I could, starting back on March 11th when she was first arrested in Randolph for heroin possession, leading up through May 4th when she stole the Jeep Cherokee from the McDonough's in Pomfret, leading up through the various burglaries between May 4th and May 20th, leading up to May 21st when she was nearly pulled over in Randolph and ran from police in a car, made it over here to Bicknell Hill Road, and ran from police again. And then on Saturday, she was pulled over in Randolph and ran from police during that encounter. And the judge found that she wasn't a risk of flight.
Was she the one that was calling
This
herself
is a
Bonnie?
game to them. That's why they write Bonnie and Clyde in their hood, because they know that they can do whatever they want and they're gonna be right back out in the street again. I mean, this is our judicial system is a mess.
Yeah.
No. I'm aware of that. I'm amazed.
I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a place of blame. I don't mean it in any way other than to provide information.
Yeah.
This is the work that I'm doing. It is frustrating to me to do the work and not to have the outcomes. I really, Jennifer desperately wanted to call you this evening to say that Scott Irish was in jail. Desperately. I desperately wanted to call the McDonough's in Pomfret this evening and say that Amanda Conant was in jail. I don't think it's anywhere near as frustrating as it is to people who are victimized. I don't think it's anywhere to everyone in the community who's feeling the social fabric being frayed by this conduct. So So I'm not here to say anything. I'm here to listen, and I'm happy to listen more to anyone outside when we're done inside here.
What are their conditions of release? What would be her conditions of release?
Amanda?
Yes.
She has conditions to be on 24/7 curfew at her mother's house in Randolph. You may infer from the way I'm saying it, my confidence that that's what will happen. She has various conditions not to contact or go on the premises to the various places she's burglarized. Just like Scott Irish has conditions to stay away from Jennifer and Wayland, stay away from WRC Automotive. It doesn't do them any good right now. Provide some maybe measure of it's better than nothing, but it's not helpful.
I think it's good that we know that there are conditions.
If you see Amanda coming at anywhere other than at her mother's house, you gotta follow.
It's helpful to know that information. It really is, because quite honestly, had I been aware of the situation that went on in the middle of the night, I would have reported Amanda Conant immediately to the police. I had no idea what was going on. It was a four-wheeler going down the road with no helmet. That was my observation. Had no idea what was going on, so why would I report it? So it is helpful to know. And, you know, I think the neighborhood watch thing, I mean, I was talking to Jen, like, we live on the same hill, like, people in our community need to know, like, do we need to start a Facebook message to message everybody in our community? Like, that night, the UPS guy showed up at 10:30 at my house, so I was like, I was messaging Jen and the Hoyts that live down the road and Ackerman's, like, what is going on here, people? Because we had just been through that experience. And so it is helpful to know. I know it's a lot of protected information, and I get it. But I think as a community, we have a right to know when there are issues within our neighborhood and what's going on and what we should be mindful of as citizens.
Who was just talking?
Genesee,
What? Who?
Genesee.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to thank Dixon for coming and for at least trying. I know your hands are tied. I know that there's a power above you, but you make the argument. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I think we should all recognize the fact that Dixon is sticking his finger in multiple holes in the dams, and a new leak springs up every time. So he could bring up these guys on charges 30 times, and they only actually be held once out of those times, and they just continue doing everything. And we have multiple levels of budgetary issues, and we don't want to, our state doesn't deal with mental health. We don't want to pay for them to be in prison. We don't, whatever, everything. There's no money at every level, and it affects every level of what we're dealing with.
When does the habitual offender come into play?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of charges. Ultimately, it's the judge who sentences too.
Yeah.
We'll certainly make our recommendation, and the recommendation will be the best one that I can come up with to prevent it from happening.
Thank you, Dixon.
On the topic of the sheriffs, so I'm just curious, if all these towns are canceling their contracts with the sheriff, what are they doing with all this extra time? Because if they have the time for the towns to contract these hours, what are they doing when all these towns are no longer contracting their hours? Do the state pay them to do something other than work at the courthouse?
Well, they're a quasi-public organization. So they do what they want. The state does, I'm reasonably certain that they exist in a gray space between private and public, and that they can basically do what they want. My thing is that there's nowhere easily, I have not been able to find an easy piece of information that tells me how they are held accountable. And so at this point, the only thing we have are contract remedies for something that, what are they going to do? The judge is going to order them to, do what they're supposed to do. And what are they going to do? Have the Vermont State Police go and, what it comes down to is your money is the only thing that you have for a bargaining chip, and they could care less.
I've dealt with this, been frustrated. I've sat at an accident scene while Bill Boniak himself showed one of my fellow firefighters the brand new AK-47, whatever it was, wonderful assault rifle they just purchased 5 of. He had in a rack in the back of his car. And quite frankly, what in God's name do you need those for? The money you spent on those, you could have spent hiring another sheriff. I sit up at my house and listen to them down at Fish and Game shooting off their 50 caliber, which their excuse for having that is to take out engine blocks, which again, I mean, that's a beautiful thing maybe if you were in Los Angeles, but you're not. You're in Orange County, Vermont.
Bill Boniak makes $120,000 to $130,000 a year. Now, it might be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but generally speaking, the sheriffs throughout Vermont are making over $120,000 a year. I'm pretty sure Bill is in the mid 120s. So we got to remember that when they cry poor, and he's saying he can't pay his sheriffs enough, he's also making over $100,000 a year in Orange County.
But Jeff, what's the process? I recollect that they have a budget process each year that the people get to vote on, right?
Well, there's the county.
Yeah, the county budget gets approved.
I-
There's a meeting. Nobody, I mean, I've never been to it, but I've heard of it. So they
Yeah.
do have a process for us to weigh in on their budget. So maybe we should look into that. But they have a process just like we do.
Yeah, so the side judges are the ones who run the county's budget. And Mary Ellen, this is Laura. So I've attended those meetings the last couple of years. And, I don't want to say it's like perfunctory, but it's in a sense that, there's a lot of discussion, maybe behind the scenes, a lot of the public opportunity for comment. And I've not seen a lot of public opportunity commenting on that budget. So that is something that we could likely get more involved in. I think I
Right.
might remember the public, or maybe Linda. I can't remember the last, was a few months ago, but yeah, that is an opportunity where we should probably get more involved in that discussion, and it is open to the public.
I think the other thing you need to be involved in is you need to know what the state mandates the sheriff's department to do. The sheriff's department must guard the courthouse, it must guard the jail, and it must transport prisoners. That is what the sheriff is required to do by state law. That's it. Anything else they do on their own, the other law enforcement part. They do it as an association. And the budget for the county just pays for like the upkeep of the jail, the upkeep of the courthouse, and staff and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right, so at this point, we're going to leave it as this is an ongoing developing situation where different members of the board are looking into different ideas, different, just investigating the whole situation. And, we'll have something obviously before March 3rd or whatever the date will be, a town meeting for people to look at, and we'll seek public input as well. Probably, I would imagine within the next 3 months, we'll want to reach out to people for a little more public comment and see where we're at. And, anybody in the public that has an idea and wants to investigate it and give us some information, it would be appreciated, because there's a lot going on, and everybody on every board is seems to be pretty busy with town stuff on top of everybody's normal lives. So if anyone wants to do something and take that initiative, everybody on the board will be very appreciative.
Why do you have to wait till next March 3rd? Get something going now. People in town are scared.
Do you have any of that money from your lottery winnings for us? Because otherwise we have to put money in the budget.
I'm just telling you, people are worried about people breaking into their places. And you are on the select board, you should tell us something.
Who is speaking?
That's what we've been
Wait.
talking about. That's Roy Hayward.
Thank you.
So that's what we've been talking about. In order for us to do something with the sheriffs, we need money. If you want me to do it right now, then do you have a donation? Otherwise, we have to wait until we put money in the budget because we can't appropriate money to do something when it hasn't been approved in the budget.
I want to make one. I mean, it's, yeah, I want to say that we should also be aware that there, I don't want to say just two groups. There's a group of folks who believe that we're not paying enough for the sheriff's department contract, because we know the only way we're going to get these services we're demanding or requesting is through contract. And then there's a large group as well who say, well, we're paying too much. So, I mean, we're stuck balancing what we're supposed to do, figure that out, balance it out. But, you know, I don't want to say it's just about money. I look at it as contractual controls. Maybe we can have a discussion with the sheriffs and say, you know, we're not interested in paying the rest of this money if we continue to get service on the West Hill Sunday night. Or maybe we're not interested in paying for the rest of this money, so don't spend your efforts elsewhere, you know, as opposed to where we need people. So I think those are things we can still do before March.
Well, yeah, but we have to look into.
Yeah, we can do it. I agree. I think we're all in agreement. We can do something. So I think we can do something before March. So even if it's a contract review, a contract audit, we can do something.
Well, yeah, and that's, you know, Mary Ellen just got the contracts from Williamstown. We have to look into what we can do.
If you invite.
The point is, at any time, when we were having those meetings, every time something would come up about a certain area that was having problems, they'd get the patrols, they'd patrol that area. They were asked to patrol by the north end of the village. They did that for 2 or 3 times. Anytime you want a certain area patrolled, that can happen. And it's a matter, the board just needs to do that.
It's for a day or two, and that's it.
Yeah.
Frank, you had something to say?
Just that if you invited Tanya to enough select board meetings, gave him enough information, he might get to know for a while, I'm not sure. It goes way back in town meetings, we have fought more times over how much do we pay him, how little do we pay him, and no one is ever happy with what we get for what we pay. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, at the meetings, there was a lot of, it was the state police's fault and it was the community's fault for not reporting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found it to be, he's a politician, he's not a police officer. And he has all the right answers for us and then doesn't deliver.
Yeah, our last conversation with him, I found like him convincing us of why it wasn't possible, but not really understanding the answer and feeling like I just been talked in the loop.
Well, he's coming up for election here in a couple of years. Dana Johnson. So what's changed? Jeff, I know that you know, and you guys know, because you were in this community a long, long time ago. But what has changed with the sheriff's position compared to what it was when we were growing up? And Sam Frank used to stop everybody here day and night constantly.
Yeah, but you had
And
to
we
be
kept us no
under
matter what we were
21.
doing.
You had to be under 21 for Sam and Duff to do
Right,
anything.
but he was out, he was looking,
He was there.
hungry for that, like,
Hungry
he wanted
for
to bust somebody
parties
every
and
single day, no matter
underage
what. I mean,
drinkers.
what has changed with that position to where we don't see our sheriff or our deputies on a regular basis throughout our community anymore? That's what I wanna know. I mean, like, when we were growing up, everybody hated going out when they saw the sheriff because he was gonna follow you, or he was gonna catch somebody doing something, or he was catching my brother doing something. I mean,
I
I
think
just
that
don't understand it.
the dirtbag factor is much scarier than it was when we were younger.
Well, I get that, but
Because
that
now you got
hungry for
people-
that.
Regardless of what they do.
They-
They
I-
get paid whether or not they pull a guy over or not. If it's easier not to do it and turn the other way, then it seems to
I
be
mean,
what's
we've got a
happening.
huge, we're a pretty small community comparatively, and between Royalton, Bethel, because they've got a peeping Tom down there now, and Tunbridge and Chelsea and even Washington at this point, all these little communities right here gathered together, we've got a huge problem, and it's not just with peeping Toms or people breaking and entering, we've got drugs galore. I mean, I don't know if people open their eyes in this town, but we've got a crap ton of drugs going on right under everybody's nose.
Well, I don't think it's under
They could
everybody's
sit right
nose.
up at certain places and certain roads, and they could start busting people left and right, but they don't want
Right
it.
here.
They don't wanna know where it comes from.
Well, you got, so, I mean, the reality is wages have been stagnant for 30 years, pretty much. Everything, prices have doubled. Poor people are poor, and everybody just wants to give them handouts and rub their shoulders when they do something bad. And now the people who are doing bad things are actually bad. It's not just like Joe Schmo down the road that you tell him to go home, he's gonna go home. Now you gotta deal with some scumbag that's gonna either try to fight you or shoot you. And so I would imagine, on top of the fact that the police, no matter what they do, are gonna get a hard time. So if they take some guy down too rough, everybody's gonna cry that the police are brutal. And if they don't do it, then, everybody's gonna complain. So you've got all of this, the dynamic of what's going on in our state right now is messed up on every single level, and everything's unbalanced. So, things are different than they were, and things cost more. But I mean, our median income in Chelsea has gone up $10,000 in 25 or 30 years. So it's gone up $10,000. Now, in that time, if you were to look at the percentage, it's about 30%. Our income has gone up in this town. Our rents have gone up like 75%. Our taxes, a $300,000 house in Chelsea, you pay more taxes on that than a $1.5 million house on Nantucket. In Massachusetts, you're paying more for a $300,000 house in Vermont. So all of our prices are out of control. We don't have anything going on. Then on top of that, we have someone who makes $100-something thousand a year in a town that the median income is $27,000 that isn't willing to manage his people and do what we're asking him to do.
I think we're getting way, way off topic here, Jeff.
Everything is yeah.
I think we gotta rein this in. I think my one comment would be, didn't we just vote for some liaisons? Who is our select board liaison with public safety?
Me.
Because they could meet with, they could gather some information from the sheriff's department and get back to us for the next meeting.
That Mark being volunteered.
Whoever was listed, they find out, whoever, it wasn't me, I do know that. Whoever was listed as the liaison, if they could find out, talk to the sheriff's department and find out more information as to what's included in, the contract and what we're getting now, and what the, any thoughts about making changes or whatever we can come up with for specific tasks. But I think that would be a good place to start for the next meeting.
Mark is smiling, yes, I guess.
So we're signing Mark up. So Mark, see what you can find out about the situation, and then we can put it on our next agenda for an update. And I can help you I'm willing to help you if you want. I don't mean to put it all on you. I'm just trying to think of a next step that we can take to make some progress.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, and I can give Mark, and I can give Mark the notes and stuff that I picked up from Linda and Emily and from other folks in town and from town meetings and from the other folks that have come in over the last couple of years. So I can give that information too, to help out.
Okay. So in the meantime, we're leaving it, so you're gonna start contacting
I'm gonna
people?
try and see if I can get together with some people and get together a phone chain. And just so that if there's ever an incident in town and people see it, they know there's a list of people they can call that come down and just make their presence known. I mean, at this
So
point,
would it, at this point, be easier to organize a community group or
Yeah.
community meeting, and then that way people can know that when they show up, then they can put their name or contact somebody?
I think your community watch group, if nothing else, can be a mosquito to the problem. At least be obnoxious to the people that are.
Exactly.
Well, and just encourage people as you're talking to them, if they're.
If it
being
becomes too much of
vigilant, to do it
a
in
chance or
pairs
hassle
as
for
opposed
the individuals that are robbing and pillaging the town
Let
to
them
bother.
Yeah, let them know that we know they're here and that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Not that anybody's gonna probably get arrested out of the deal, but at least if, these them Binks and Chelsea are out watching us constantly.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, just to do it. in
And right now,
pairs.
there's a small group of people that I know that aren't paying attention.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up with Frank.
Just a public comment. Is there a chance that we have enough vaccination, you considered open select board meetings, moved into the town hall, social distancing maybe? There's a lot of people that would like to come, that Zoom just doesn't work for them. If it weren't for Terry, I would be doing Zoom.
We've been.
No, they can come.
Yeah, I mean, people can come. I mean, I've been down here since it started, so that people who can't Zoom.
Right, but they hear
Yeah.
the word Zoom and they just.
Well, there-
We still have to offer it.
I just
We're
thinking-
keeping the Zoom so that people who feel like it's not, they're not comfortable.
I'm just thinking because of everybody being vaccinated now, they, select board meeting being open, they might just.
It is open now.
Yeah, I mean,
We-
we're here. This is open.
If we made the impression that we've never been open, I think that then we made a mistake, because we've always, we would meet in there at the very beginning, we'd space everything out, and we meet in here when folks didn't come. So we should, just know that you can
Maybe we can
do it.
solidify that on front porch forum or something, just,
Yeah.
to make sure
Yeah,
people understand that we're
I
open.
can put a note to just underscore that.
We are at the end of our.
Everyone's right, it's the public document. And Frank, if you speak to people that don't feel comfortable, you can either have them contact us or you can send them. But yeah, we're welcome.
All right. So, do we have any conflicts of interest to disclose? All right. Do we have a motion to approve minutes from May 18th?
I have a question. Phyllis, I sent you a note with a couple of changes.
Yes, I changed them.
All right, so I'll move to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Motion made.
All right, so the motion's been made to approve the minutes for May 18th.
And it was seconded by Mark.
Oh, I didn't hear Mark second, sorry. And Mark seconded it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Mary Ellen, was there an aye from you?
Where are you, Mary Ellen?
I'll see where she is. Is she on there still?
She's Kate.
Oh, she's Kate.
You there, Mary Ellen?
There she goes.
All right, well, the ayes have it,
Yeah.
Potentially unanimously.
We've got
We'll. So the meeting minutes for May 18th have been approved. LeVar has some appointments
All right.
for the planning board.
Planning Commission. So I've talked with Susan Harden, I've talked with Tim Quartz, and I've talked with Neil Kennedy. So Tim Quartz is interested in his spot being filled with, or his expired term, being filled with Justin Sauerwein. So Justin Sauerwein's he's a recent owner of Rural Butcher. He has a farm on the West Hill, and he's very interested in being involved with the town. So I nominate him to fill the spot from Tim Quartz on the Planning Commission. That's a 2-year term that expired this year.
All right, so the motion's been made to appoint Justin Sauerwein to Tim Quartz's position to be 2021 to 2023 on the Planning Commission.
Did you talk to him?
Oh, yeah, I've talked to
Oh,
him
yeah.
about it. Yeah. I've been trying to push him to do it for some time.
Oh,
And
good.
Kate, did you second that?
I did.
And it's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Um,
All right, so I'd like to nominate, a move to nominate Susan Harden for the Planning Commission. Her term expires, and that's a 3-year term, so that expires 2021. So it'll be a 3-year term.
So she's going back on.
Yeah,
Correct,
so
put back on.
reappointed.
Reappointed.
Do we have a second?
one second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded for Susan Harden to be reappointed to her position, which would be expiring in 2024. All in favor, or any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimously decided. Susan Harden will be reappointed to her
Okay, so
position.
I move to appoint Neil Kennedy to reappoint Neil Kennedy to the Planning Commission. And that would be his term expired in 2021, so it's a 2-year term.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded for Neil Kennedy to be appointed. Is he reappointed? He's going to be
Reappointed, yeah.
to be reappointed to the Planning Commission. His term will be 2021 through 2023. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one thing I like to note is, when his name somehow dropped out of the book because of formatting. Jamie had mentioned that when we were finalizing everything. So he is currently on Jonathan as, so we want to make sure that we get him like whatever formatting thing figured out so that we don't drop him. I think it's just because his name was placed, it's formatted out. So that's the other comment I have.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Neil Kennedy has been reappointed to the commission. Were there any other?
Still don't have any volunteers for waste.
On the other side.
Waste rep, the CVS WMD rep. Anybody wants it? You guys are already on thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does that job exactly?
Well, to be honest, I don't totally understand, but what I understood from Mark Lemke was that it's once a month meeting, and it's our town's vote in their decisions about waste management. It's an important one for us to have, but Mark does not want to do it anymore.
Emily?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Kate.
You
Sorry,
interested?
Mark Lemke does not want to do it anymore.
You sure?
So I think Steve Thomas just volunteered for it.
I was just curious of what it was.
All right.
I'm gonna have my hands full
You will.
All right. Then let's see. Zoom meetings. I just, as the emergency orders are expiring, I want to step away from running the computer while I'm trying to run the meetings. And I think the administrative assistant should be able to focus on minutes. So I think we just need to be aware. I also, for select board members who might have to attend from home, we do have on our iPhones, we have the ability to do conference calls. And, it's just even tonight we had technical issues. It just happened.
Getting people on.
And just because at a certain point,
Yeah,
we have to
I don't have a
keep moving.
computer phone.
What's that?
I don't have a computer
Right, but someone always has a phone that we can do
Oh,
conference
at the
call, so
place
that,
that-
Yeah,
like,
we really want to have the ability for people to
Yeah,
call in.
for like,
If people that can't come to the meeting that are on the board here tonight, that don't want to come, because they don't want to come, they call in. I think it's important to keep that ability for people that want to call into the meetings, for the community.
yeah, like Linda calling.
Right, maybe they don't want to come out, maybe they don't want to come to the meeting. They'd rather call in, they should have that option.
To a point, if they want to come and be heard, then they have to come to the meeting.
No,
Well, anything we can do to increase public participation is a bonus. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you're limiting participation by, there's people that are housebound, there's people that have young children. Anything that we can do within reason to expand our reach and involve more people in Chelsea is a good thing. And we can at least make a call out to the community. Maybe somebody's willing to come and run the system at each meeting. I mean, I don't think we should automatically get rid of something that's been being used and I think is increased participation. And I'm not saying that selfishly. I'll come to meetings in person, you know, that I'm not saying that selfishly because I'm Zooming. I just think it expands the ability for people to participate.
I also don't know that, like, for the administrative assistant, that it would be that much work to be able to just mute and unmute.
I don't
things.
need it.
I don't
Well,
think
no,
that's
it's not that. It's those times when we've just, where it's the continuous issues with it. And you have to,
the continuous which.
issues with the, with Zoom. Because when we've been down here, it just like, it can go out at any point in time. Like
Well, that's
recently.
fine. If it's going out, that's the problem with those people on there. But I mean, it's been working all night and it worked all night last time.
It works fine in the
it's
library.
great-
You had the
great
problems in there
solution.
because of the.
Yeah,
you know, but-
and that could be what it,
Yeah,
what
that
that was.
might be why it's so problematic in the town hall sometimes, seems a little more problematic.
So, yeah,
But-
at any rate, I was just saying, I really don't.
No,
want
I know
that.
you don't want.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I did it for over,
Yeah.
like,
don't
almost a
blame
year
you.
and a half.
Yeah.
So I'm done.
I
I'm
get
done.
it.
I don't care whether or not we have the Zoom.
Well,
It's just,
maybe
I,
Marianne and I can, since we seem to be the most passionate about keeping it, can work on trying to streamline that.
and
a
we
bit.
also should probably, the town should invest in a laptop
They have
that,
one.
our laptop
The
is,
clerk's office has one.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but can the people use it?
What if I have it at home and you've got a meeting
Well,
going?
bring it
Yeah,
down.
I've got them.
I don't come to all your meetings sometimes.
Uh,
I Zoom.
Yes, we can use it.
So,
I'll look into some ways to try to
yeah, because
simplify that.
our laptop anyways is, I mean, it's gotta be 5 to 7 years old, the administrative assistant's laptop.
Oh, it is?
It's ancient. Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
Laptops,
It was my red one
laptops
when
are
I
not
was
that
the
expensive. I
administrative
mean,
assistant.
laptops are not that expensive, probably.
it's like a Commodore like 64 or something.
No, it's
Yeah, I mean, I know that.
You know, I was wondering, that for a laptop like this, couldn't we take this here and put it on a slide thing so people can see everybody's involved in it and stuff?
There are, like, what I was thinking is, even though this plant is lovely, to like carefully move it. And I could put it in the middle, and there are 360 cameras that, like, you know, if I'm here, I can just push it.
Yeah,
to
oh, okay,
there.
yeah.
Or not 360 cameras, they swivel 360.
Yeah.
The, yeah, and another thing I was thinking is, we don't have to be bound by using Zoom for
Is there, like, another-
access. So one thing we could do is if we're going, you know, if we're going, thinking about long-term, is broadcasting the meetings as like a podcast or whatever, so it's available to people. And then having a system where people can call in to make their comments. And, you know, something that's, because I think, I don't
So
know.
you mean just audio?
So they'd be able to watch us and then they'd be able to call in. And I mean,
Do you
that,
know a program that exists?
I mean, YouTube and, you know, calling in, and we just might have to set up there's gotta be some app where you can use it to have conference calls with more than like 3 people or something.
Contact your IT person.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just saying there could be other options.
Does he have your IT person?
Call into it.
Yeah, so I was just throwing that out, not that I had a specific idea, those are things that just kind of.
The one thing I noticed tonight is you got people here on the computer that want to talk. And you got people talking behind them, over them, through them.
It wasn't too bad, I think that was too bad.
Yeah.
Mark tried to help with his right here.
It's just was very
And that's the other thing is I
not
think.
coordinated.
Yeah, there's supposed to be
You know, there's gonna be
hand
a
raising.
ask
That-
hands from to start
Well,
talking.
Mary Ellen, the person running it, should have them all muted unless they raise their hand or something, right?
Well, in public comment, maybe I'm wrong, but isn't it like, aren't we or you supposed to
I think that, yeah, and that's the other
Yeah.
thing, is I think that we need a microphone. Because pointing laptops at people and stuff like that, I mean, if we are gonna continue it, I think it needs to be done in a more efficient manner.
Yeah,
And a microphone, a camera, I mean, I would imagine for like $600 to $1,000, we would have a setup that would last for like 5 years.
right, and the
Like, you
cameras
can
I've been
count.
looking at are like $70, and
That's a
they
lot of
swivel,
money.
and they have a microphone.
Yeah, so,
But yeah, I agree with it.
but we need to get a laptop for the administrative
Yeah.
assistant and everything anyway, so like
I know,
600 of
Ken-
that.
Is
Ken-
that in the budget?
Kenneth mentioned that. So we have, I don't have the budget right here, but we have the administrative assistance budget. And, you know, we could do a number of cheap options or thrifty options. I mean, if a Chromebook would work, and that's a lot cheaper than some of the other laptops, but I don't know if that meets needs. We've got to talk to the administrative assistant or whoever's, you know, we have filling in now, look at the task and whoever's going to fill in and see if that's something that would work.
So I
That's
have
an
a
option.
Chromebook and it did not work
No,
well.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, it doesn't have the computing capacity. And thriftiness in computers equals
But we-
looking for a computer in 9 months.
But we can't spend
But I
outside.
don't-
of public.
I don't have any elections coming up for the rest of the year. And that was computers with grant money to use for elections.
Mhm.
So if the select board would like to use it so they can get what they need, I'll let you do it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary that, like, I just think that as we move forward, we need to look into this. And if Zoom or something like it is the new reality, then we need to just be prepared for it, so it's not a big thorn in our hands.
Yeah, if Karen's offering something, we should use
Yeah.
that as a stop.
Well, I just don't want to put you
go
out.
ahead
Yeah.
and do your thing, but you know, until you get there,
Okay.
I'll just.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
I'll
would,
come by and just look at your laptop and.
It's a brand new thing, yeah.
And we could use that wall, and then I'll look at the budget and price some things out, come up with some things to talk about.
Yeah.
in the meeting.
And Kate, I think we could also talk with Gail to look at the spending that we've done in the past, or when she gives us the sheet, so that we know that if we have some flexibility for a couple $100 or $400, that, you know, we know what we spent in the past, and if we've got that flexibility, we can exercise that now if we have it. But if we don't, then we've got to look for so
well, we
appropriation
we
for
also have
something
some
else.
funds coming in to the town. I don't know what strings are attached, but
Yeah.
Karen, how much did you pay for your ThinkPad? Generally,
1,000.
That's
Okay.
all.
No, 1,300.
1,300.
ThinkPad's expensive.
They're also a lot cuter, a lot cheaper. For 5 years.
Well, and that's the thing. We need, if you want something that's going to last for 5 years, you're gonna have to spend $800 to like $1,300. Otherwise, it's like a year or two, and you're not going to be able to keep up.
Oh,
with things.
ThinkPads last forever.
Yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
that's,
I think that
Again,
that's all we
from-
really need to say on Zoom. Now, let's go into the opening of the town hall and the library. As far as the library is concerned, unless anyone has any objection, I feel like we should just let the library do what they want to do. And if we have an issue with it, when they notify us of a change in behavior and, you know, practices, we have that opportunity to say, oh, well, maybe we should do something different. But I think we should leave it up to them unless someone has an option. We talked about this before, but is everybody on board with that? Are there objections?
No objections.
I didn't hear anything from Mary Ellen, so I'm assuming we're okay. So
I can hardly hear anything you guys are saying, that's why. But yes, whatever you're voting on.
So, yeah, so you're good to go. Whatever you plan, as long as you follow the state guidelines, you know. And we don't want anything to do with enforcing any mask rules or anything like that
in the library.
in the
Or
library. This is
anywhere,
your
to be
domain,
honest.
it's your turf. Karen, the same
I'm-
goes for you. What you want to do?
Yeah. I'm
Gonna open the door to people, I think.
With those schedules, so I don't have 4 of them showing up. In the
Yeah.
office, it's fine because there's not all that much space.
And I think that, again, like, that's your thing. You have to deal with those people
Yeah,
and
I
it's,
just wanted this discussion between all of us. because
yeah, okay.
Once we open
Well,
that building up, You know, people are gonna say, when is the hall? open?"
And that was the next thing. And again, I think we should open the hall up to it. The only limitations are limitations that are handed down from Montpelier or Washington DC. We're not going to go in and monitor if people wear masks. If it becomes something becomes an issue, we just close it again and we let people know, hey, you ruin it for everybody. But we're not going to sit and tell people to wear their mask. We're not going to sit and do anything. It's just, there's too much going on for every single person involved in the town to have to monitor that kind of thing on that level. And does anybody have an issue with that?
No, I'm fully vaccinated.
All right. So we might want to let Erin know that she's going to have more hours, or is she still on the same schedule?
I will have to talk with her, because I don't know what she's putting in, because I haven't talked with Gail lately about that.
And
I don't think we've told anyone to change that.
No.
yeah, so I wasn't sure if she came in less because of
I don't
COVID
I
or not.
don't know, this Karen thing, we still have folks in here,
Yeah.
employees, so.
You still clean our office. and
Yeah,
everything.
employees are
So
still
I
in
think
here.
all of them,
Yeah.
There might be a little less hours there.
And the other thing with Erin, just throwing it out there information wise, is I did talk to her when Zeb had ended his time. She is willing to do cleanup of like the sidewalks and stuff if it you know, for whatever reason someone's not available. She's good with taking on a little extra hours if we need it. We can
Cleaning what?
clean off the snow and
Oh.
you know, just doing
Oh, okay. You mean
shovel.
just right out here?
Yeah, just the quick
Okay,
what
like-
Zeb was doing for snow
All right.
removal.
That's kind of hefty.
She seemed to be okay with it.
Okay.
So, you know, obviously we still would have to call her and see if she wanted to, if it came up, but I don't think we have an issue. At this point, McCaden seems to be doing the mowing in a day less than what it had previously been done. So I think we're going to be in good shape. So transfer station, now that we have McCaden's going in to be Snook's helper. Snook did bring up the fact that his helper now makes more money than he does. And
Did this be executive session?
yeah, true.
Well, the state allows us to discuss the personnel matters in executive session, so I'll move
Okay.
to go into executive sessions for the purposes of discussing, you know, personnel matters.
So what do I do for the participants here?
I can do it, Marianne. I'll do it from my phone.
Okay.
You can do it for yourself. Okay, thank you. 'Cause okay.
Yeah, motion's been made and seconded to enter executive session. The only people invited will be select board members.
Oh, when you
And
said when
we'll call you all back. Ooh, thank you.
Everybody have a great night.
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later,
Did you
Steve.
get my email about those radios?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and Karen.
Bye, guys.
Invite me.
And Karen Lathrop, town clerk, is invited as well.
Okay, just give me a couple of minutes. So Jeff got.
Hold on one second, Jeff. Yeah.
That's you, Mark. Okay, so nobody else is in the meeting except for.
Elizabeth is leaving in.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, how are they? I kind of messed them up.
I can pretty much hear Jeff, but nobody else.
We're not doing anything right now, Mary Ellen. We're waiting
Okay.
for the librarian to leave and Phyllis to come back in and take notes.
Thanks, Karen.
Bye, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay.
Just fill us in. Back.
I don't know.
All right, I was looking for.
We're gonna go look for her. Hold on. Oh, I knew it was coming down. I ate something before this. Yay, purple. Pretty good work.
You got it?
She's in that restroom. I guess. Phyllis, come on out.
All right, so
It'll take minutes to this anyway.
Now.
let's see. So we're in executive session for personnel matters.
She shut the door.
the,
Phyllis, are you coming?
no, she's not supposed to be in.
Okay.
Oh, she's not supposed to be.
I don't know.
Well,
if she-
well, then she doesn't need that. It's still
Um,
not recording. It's still
Oh,
recording,
sorry,
Kate.
thank you.
Yeah, so we need to,
1 second.
Still recording.
1 second.
9, 11, no, no decisions need to be explored. We discussed,
Transfer station.
the transfer station and, how we're gonna handle having, using the town employees to assist during busy times and,
The personnel staffing.
and then some other staffing issues. So no decisions were reached. At this point,
Sorry, Jeff. I didn't know my stuff was on top of your.
I think that everybody who has an area that they're kind of covering, we should start to come up with a time when those departments come in, at least maybe like twice a year, if not more, depending on the department.
One quarterly.
Or quarterly, to update us and just so that we have a face-to-face and keep communications going. That would include sewer, transfer, fire, highway,
Planning commission.
I would like to see Alan in here once a year at least so that we can kind of let him know that we need budget stuff by a certain time for printing and discuss. Yeah, for the fire department.
That has kind of a different end on things, because that's the fire district. We have
So you guys are.
we have no authority over the fire district whatsoever.
Okay, so I didn't realize.
No, he just provides the, like a statement.
That's the prudential committee.
All right, but I think we should get everybody in and have our updates. And that's just all I have, scheduled department updates for upcoming meetings. So if we can kind of think about that and talk to the people that we are liaisons for and everything. I don't think we need to talk anymore about it.
Did we have any action from section?
No action taken.
Oh, no action, oh, okay.
Sorry, you had.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no action taken. We discussed transfer station using town employees to help. All right, and then I've talked to some people, and I put on post-pandemic community celebration kind of thing. We're gonna have the flea market. I personally think that having some sort of
super spreader event.
Yeah.
Just one more for all time.
Yeah, I think that maybe we can't do the street dance like it was once done, but we could do a much mellower, controlled situation, and maybe try to get some, someone to sell food. Yeah, but with a little more. I feel like it needs to have a little more kick than a picnic, but not quite the
And some
kick and
music?
booze of the street dance. Like some music.
Alcohol kills germs, you know.
Yeah, I think everybody will be allotted 1 pint of vodka in the interest of not spreading COVID.
I can definitely move forward on that.
I think that we should get some of we don't have a high school anymore. I think we should have some things that, like, some people don't come down to the farmer's market. They might come down after the flea market to
What do you
something.
think would be a good day for it?
Who's gonna
Saturday or-
plan
The farmer's market, I think, not farmer's market, flea market.
And can we really,
After the flea market,
can we really
On
be,
that day?
On that day,
like that night.
there's lots of people around town that day. They come,
I don't know, I was thinking like not on that day. since
is
that's
this a
like-
rec committee thing?
Since that's such a
Right.
big, since that's
I
so
know.
social, I like want to have as many social opportunities as possible in Chelsea.
Well, Old Home Day, we used to do in August. We did something around, not call it Old Home Days, but around that time, we used to do it in August.
I don't know, like this Saturday when people are going to from the dump. and-
Yeah, I think maybe, but I think it should be like late afternoon into the
Yeah.
evening kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Williamstown just had something and they had fireworks and everything.
That's just the craft, was that the craft fair?
Well, they had fireworks.
That's their Memorial Day celebration.
Yeah.
No, it was last weekend though.
They always do theirs the week before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I think that in some ways, maybe having more community involvement and involving everybody, it might be a long-term, slow, solution to some of our social problems that we're having. Because maybe if people know people, they might not be as apt to break into their houses and things. Because yes, we have all of our negative thoughts on the people that are doing these things. But if you have been an adult and seen how, say, like teachers treat some of these kids who are now doing these things, they've been trained over the years to know for sure that they're not part of the community. And I feel like at this point, we don't have anything going on. And it's like farmer's market is it. That's our community stuff. So I think that we should try to.
And we may have a fair amount of new people around too. that
Yeah.
have come.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think I think it's a lovely idea. I can take the lead on that and start getting
Brainstorming
ideas
ideas.
and dates and, yeah.
I think like a potluck, everybody
Potluck
bring
on the
potluck
green.
time,
Mhm.
people bring food
With
and.
music.
Well, we don't do the food over there at the church anymore because of the coronavirus. And that's
Oh, right, and they'll
those are
start
the
doing
dinners, community dinners. that we
They will,
do.
they'll probably start doing, they've been doing takeout, they'll probably start doing
Yeah,
inside.
but-
Yeah,
but
there's-
takeout
there's-
different.
They're thinking, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of like, we don't need to come up with something exact, right?
Well, and-
No,
I
yeah.
just wanted to throw it.
No, I like it.
And let's see here. We have to approve orders. I just wanted to let everybody know, we have a letter from First Branch that Deb Upham is now our appointed representative member to the board of the First Branch ambulance. Linda Cuban has stepped down. So just so people are.
What is it? Oh, appointed representative members, who do board? What board's that?
I'm assuming the First Branch ambulance.
Yeah.
Board, they have a board?
Yeah.
Branch ambulance board?
So don't we have to prove someone?
No, that's just information for us, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that's just information, nothing.
Then what
that
do we
happened.
have to prove someone?
Will you guys take a peek at these? I'm gonna skip over that. Now, we have a tax, on our tax map, something was changed preemptively before a transaction actually went through. That swath of land that would have gone from the creamery to right across the river from the horseshoe pits. The town, I guess, about 10 years ago, before Bobby bought the creamery, was going to buy that land and use it for a path for the kids to get over to the soccer field. However, it never went through because the guy who,
Remember that guy, what's his name?
yeah,
Around
whatever
the
his name
green
was.
before Bobby. I can't
Yeah,
remember his name.
he didn't want to have any part of it, so it cut off the proposed track or trail. So the tax map on the owners for that plot of land where there's the cabin and it goes down, it was preemptively changed and she lost, I think, about 2 acres. And so she still legally owns it, but our tax map doesn't reflect it and it could cause some issues with her selling. So she just wants us to update the tax map.
Well, but tax maps have been updated this year, they were updated.
Well,
We got brand new tax maps. in there.
Listers.
Right.
Yeah, we had that grant coming from
Yep,
COVID, we
you
updated tax map, so I don't think that tax map that tax map that we have in there now shows that she owns that, but I see, I don't see any
There isn't a
indication.
little thing because.
No, I don't think so.
The
I can go
state
look, but-
A&R,
Who is this? now?
On that, on that,
The
it is?
A&R has that.
Yeah, but that's
still.
not new. I mean,
They
that's not
do?
the newest version.
That's usually about a year
Should be.
behind.
The A&R?
Yeah,
A&R.
because we have through this COVID thing, part of the grant was for them to update.
Well, no, the A&R atlas does not get updated very quickly.
That does
Oh,
not.
okay, and I'm talking about the one that's on the VGIS site.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah, the
Karen
A-
knows more.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
did Karen leave?
Yeah, I think so.
So what are we being asked to do?
So what's being asked is, for whatever reason, there's a little swath of land that is being shown as being owned by the town when legally it's actually owned by the actual owner. Linda, I think her name is Linda something. So we need to figure out what we have to do to change that.
I would ask the head lister, see what the list.
Right. They would, I think the listers would just present the deeds to the mapping company. That's what, to update. Don't we use somebody to do our tax maps other than that program?
But they're talking about the, looking at the A&R maps.
Well, but that, we don't control that. That's data that they gather and update. So whatever is in our system has to be accurate. We don't
Yeah.
care what's in A&R system.
Yeah, the A&R is not, I mean, they haven't updated that. No.
Right. But that's not, I don't think that's town business. I mean, I think the town has to show it properly on.
Depending on the
Right,
town.
I could give this
Just
lady
updated it.
a copy of our tax map that
Right.
shows Norman's.
Well, she's-
Right.
look at the tax maps.
It
Actually,
might
And
not
what
be-
is she being, is she
might be
paying
the last
taxes? Does
one.
her tax bill have the right acreage? Because that's usually people go right to their tax bill and they see if they're being taxed for the right acreage or not.
Let me look at the email and just see exactly what she said.
I'm
So,
just
do
gonna go look at that tax map.
you mind if I come with you? So I can get it? I'm gonna look that up. Okay.
You probably send it to the rest of us. We still have a quorum here, so we can do business. Yeah. He ran out with Phyllis to check out the updated map.
Well, I used to be E911 coordinator. People call me up and say, my address is wrong on Google. It was like, well, town has it correct. You can put in a little, Google Maps has like a little revision button you can hit. But, the town's responsibility to make sure our records are accurate,
Yeah, not all the other.
not everything on the internet.
Yeah. And I think Phyllis was saying that the update that they made, it's recent. And I think Jeff was looking at an older map.
Right. I think that the listers are the ones that should handle this, but I think we should just put the ball in their court to do the communicating.
Yeah, that's what I told Phyllis.
If we do a potluck celebration on the green and it rains, do you think that the town hall would be a safe place?
Yeah, what was that, Kate? I was just thinking
Yeah.
that big potluck, all those, like 60 people went to.
What's that number?
I can only hear half what you're saying, but are you talking about a potluck?
Sorry, I think
I'm muted on mine.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Oh, and mom must have been picking.
Yeah, did you hear the conversation about the community potluck?
Yeah, I was trying to remember that we had one like 2 years ago that had like 60 people at it. And I was trying to remember what that was, the purpose of that was.
Huh.
Planning Commission, I think, did it, right?
I
It was Planning Commission, I think, and they had some white sheets with some ideas for the town on them or something. I went to it, but I don't remember why or what it was for.
remember I already did.
That might have even been longer than that before you were involved. It might have been. But there was a great turnout. It was in the town hall, like 60 people came.
Yeah, Mark.
What's that, Mark?
Said, I know how the last big celebration in town turned out.
Which one was that?
Fire department's 125th.
Oh, yeah? When was that?
Wasn't good, right?
No.
What happened?
We had a lot of policing.
Yep. We got all our extra money.
So you got some
I don't think I
$12,500
heard about that.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we let everybody else back into the, I don't know how to
Yeah,
see it.
Marianne had accidentally.
Okay.
Bunch of people there.
Oh, I still put the top, that's right.
maybe a letter signed by the select board saying
Oh, yeah.
that never happened and that land.
Well, that's why we need to check the deeds, because I want it before. I think that's the kid who's mowing.
Okay.
I'm reasonably certain that that's the kid that's mowing.
Is it McCabe mowing?
No, there's, Frank hired someone to mow the, the
cemetery.
It's, I think, the Jew. So, yeah.
One kid up by himself?
When I've been walking, I've seen him up there and it looks better than
It
it
looks
did
good.
last year.
Looks all right, yeah.
I mean, seriously, it looks good. They did have a few guys go in, I guess, on Friday before Memorial.
Yeah.
But, at any rate, can you check the deeds just to make
Yeah.
sure? And then we'll, just ask the computer company to change that, so it reflects it on the map. Because what ended up happening is either the lawyer or
Well, these
the,
tax maps aren't anything that's.
Okay, so it doesn't-
It's no kind of a,
Lavar, you're gonna.
you know,
okay.
it's no kind of a document or anything. It's wrong on the tax map.
Will you just check the deed and then write me
Yes.
an email saying like
Yeah.
everything's set and that
Yeah.
land is officially,
30 acres, whatever the
Stewart's
Stewart's,
land,
yeah,
and, then we can forward it to her. She can show it to the bank or
Right, if there's any
Lawyer.
problems, it could, but, I mean, the tax map isn't any kind of
Okay.
anything. It's
Well-
you do the best I can, but it's not, you know, it's done on that.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
so then
yeah.
that should be set. I think it's more of a just a verification so that a lawyer will let something go through. if
I
it's
know,
set.
I'm surprised that came up on the tax map like that. You never had a deed made out on anything.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm surprised it came up on the tax map.
Yeah. And orders are it, and then we're done.
So
Unless-
what's that?
Was there something else?
No,
No.
Oh, so I'll move to approve the orders.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the orders. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously decided, the orders are approved. And then after that, I guess, unless someone has some opposition to it, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting at 9:27.
Let's just confirm the next one. Is it June 15?
Yep.
And, you wanna talk about what might be on the next agenda or anything that's out there, like, compactor, bids, some other things that you talked about in the last few meetings? I don't know if that's gonna be on your agenda for next week or.
Yeah, I think if, it depends on if we get the information. I gotta go talk, John Morrissey, he bought Arthur Button's farm. And he runs a scrap yard and he might know someone to talk to fabricate what we need to have done. But I know our hydraulic system on the recycling compactor's going, I only signed one thing, because that was the Tuesday.
Gail would like you to put those in the office.
Yes.
Can I, we adjourn the meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off of this, everybody.
Okay.
Bye. Wait a minute.
I don't know if it's, all right, thank you so much.